Hello everyone, this is the update from the second day in the Thailand MotoGP race, the Super Saturday MotoGP. What happened today? Well, a lot. I had a lot of fun watching qualifying 1, qualifying 2. I had a lot of fun watching the sprint race. I didn't have a lot of fun watching the free practice 2 early in the morning because that is a session that is not very exciting. It's more for trying things for everybody. So in qualifying, what happened in qualifying? Marc Marquez on pole, not a big surprise. Alex Marquez second, that's a little bit of a bigger surprise. Third place, Pecco Bagnaia, yeah, because he's not even, that's also a bit of a surprise because he should have been a little bit closer to Marc Marquez because everybody think, at least I am also, Pecco, Marc, that's one of the two, they're gonna fight for the World Championship. Well, this is the first race, this was the first qualifying of the year, this was the first sprint race today, and it's so far, it's more Marc's weekend than it is Pecco Bagnaia, but more about that later. We had a surprise on P4 in qualifying, and that's the guy that was immediately in Q2. So Jack Miller, that's the guy I speak about on the Yamaha. He loves the Yamaha and he loves the Pramac team where he's back now. And he was very clever. He was fast enough in Q2 to make it to make P2 and then go to Q2. So good enough after Pecco Bagnaia in Q2. In Q2 we choose 2 times a really good guy to follow, choose the right wheel, and in the end you still have to do it. So Jack Miller on P4 with the Yamaha, it shows the Yamaha has a lot of potential, they improved, but later in the race it's still hard for them. So there was also a little bit background information about Pecco Bagnaia because yesterday he didn't even make it straight into Q2. He was trying things, looks a little bit frustrated, had some problems, left it really late to go for the time attack, and when you leave it late on Friday afternoon to go for your time attack, there's always the problem of the danger, the situation. People can make mistakes, people can crash, yellow flags. And as soon as there is yellow flag, your lap time is cancelled, and yeah, that happened to Pecco Bagnaia. So yeah, he wasn't really there, so he must be in the first 2 places in Q1, and that's what he did. He was fastest in Q1, went to Q2, put it on P3 in Q2, so he did everything correct. But by doing that, he gambled a little bit with the tires. He used only 1 tire in qualifying 1 and normally he used 2. He wanted to save one just in case, you know, you don't have an unlimited amount of soft rear tires for the whole weekend. You have 7 soft rear tires and you have to use them at certain moments, especially when, like today, you also want to use in the race the soft rear tire. Then you got to be extra careful with your tires. So he did qualifying 1. Put in a really good lap time and then stay in the box expecting nobody's gonna push him out of the first 2 places in qualifying 1. And he was right, it worked, but it was only just. He didn't expect Jack Miller and another guy to be so close to him. So yeah, he gambled a little bit. But the real surprise was not Jack Miller in qualifying, it was Ayagura on the Aprilia, the rookie. Okay, he's a Moto2 world champion from last year. And the Aprilia from 2025, as it is, even without a lot of test work by Jorge Martin, because, like I said 2 weeks ago, he put himself out of the game very unfortunately. But the bike, as it is, more or less, as we say, out of the crate, the 2025 Aprilia is such a big improvement from last year, and it's so much closer to the Ducatis. And the rookie, Ayagura, does everything correct, so he was in P5, and that's obviously a big shocker. But to tell you how good Aprilias are, 3 Aprilias are in the top 9. And the 4th Aprilia is Jorge Martin with injured at home because the rider that replaces him is a test rider, so you don't expect him to be. So I told you, Aprilia has improved a lot. Only 1 KTM on P7 Acosta, that shows that KTM is not really there yet. And the first Honda is Joan Mir on P11. Better than last year, but I was expecting, maybe hoping a little bit more for them. Then there was a sprint race. Now the sprint race is a little bit of a special thing because it's basically, in this case, 13 laps of qualifying. You don't need any strategy, you don't need to pay attention on tire wear, it's just where you are after the first 2-3 corners, you defend that with all you can, or you try to attack with all you can. Not a lot of thinking, no time to think. You don't get so tired that you have to play with your power for endurance over the race. It's simple and it's usually very spectacular. Well, the race was not very spectacular. There was not a lot of overtaking and so on. I assume you've seen the races, but having Jack Miller riding around in P5 form, I think half the race was a joy to see, and then he overdid it a little bit over the front. He lost the front, which is interesting because he loves the front of the Yamaha, and the Yamaha has a really, really good front. It gives a lot of feedback, and it helps you turn a lot. But like it happens more often, if riders have a problem with the rear of the bike, they try to compensate it with the other side, in this case the front of the bike. And Jack overdid it a little bit. But anyway, tomorrow he has another chance because he qualified actually in P4. So he's starting from the second row tomorrow again. Mark won the race. Alex's brother became second. Pecco became third. And that's not what we expected. I was expecting Pecco to be second or maybe first or having a fight with Mark. But like yesterday and today, Pecco just misses a little bit. He misses that little bit extra to go there. And the Ducati, the Lenovo factory Ducati bikes, 2025 bikes, are very, very close to similar to the 2024 bike. So also bike-wise, Pecco at the moment doesn't have an advantage. In the next couple of rounds that come, there will come some upgrades on this bike and then it becomes a real 2025 Ducati. At the moment, Alex Marquez is more or less on exactly the same bike as Pecco Bagnaia and his brother Mark, and he shows that when Alex is happy and doesn't need to worry about anything, he still can be fast, at least here. So that was it for the sprint race, but Ayagura again, P4. So it was not just he's good in one lap. Let's not forget he's a rookie. He never did a sprint race. He didn't do a lot of laps on the MotoGP. He jumps on a MotoGP bike that, fortunate for him, is quite good by itself. You don't need to do a lot of development. You don't need to learn to ride around some shitty problems, but still you got to do it. So he put it on a really good qualifying pace, and he did a really good start. I think he overtook 2 riders into the first corner on the outside in his first MotoGP start. And I tell you what, starting with a MotoGP bike is quite difficult. It's the acceleration from 0 to whatever is already so much better than Moto2. It's very, very difficult to do accurately. And the braking for turn 1 is always a shit situation because these bikes rely so much on downforce, on aero, that as soon as you're in the group, if you go to turn 1 and you're not leading, you have a lot of gusting winds and then suddenly you miss downforce and then you have it again. So, but he did everything correct. So we have a rookie on P4 in the first sprint race, and I didn't really see that coming at all. So that was good. Then there's my subject, who or what needs improving for tomorrow or for the rest of the year? Well, definitely KTM. If Pedro Acosta finishes 6 on 11 seconds in the sprint race from 13 laps only, then I'm sure Pedro Acosta is very, very good. When I see him on television, when I see him riding, he does everything correct. The bike is just not improved enough, or maybe not at all, over the last winter. We all know what happens with KTM, so that's really hard to see. The other hope from Aprilia, Marco Bezzecchi, who actually should be the guy, Ayagura is the bonus they have here, he already had a problem at the start. At the first meters that he went off the line, the bike went completely sideways, creating actually quite a dangerous situation. We see it happen more and more with all the ride height and the starting devices that these bikes have. They make an unbelievable acceleration in a straight line. But when it goes wrong, when the bike goes sideways, it's a bit of a problem. So he more or less destroyed this race by having a start that was, I don't think it's an Aprilia problem. I think it's an unfortunate situation with him that happened there. Yep, that's it for the sprint race. But there was more. We have some Australian riders also in Moto2 and Moto3. Joel Kelso finishing P8 in the Moto3 in the qualifying. So we will start from the third row tomorrow for the race. And I tell you what, in Moto3, if you're in P8, everything is possible because Moto3 depends so much on slipstreaming, following each other. As soon as you are in the leading group, sometimes that group can be 20 people, can be 8 people. As long as you're in the leading group, you can win it or completely lose it when you get pushed out. Joel is a fighter. He's clever. He gained a lot of experience last year. He's in a good team now. So with P8 on only 0.3 from the best lap time, he's in for a shot though. I'm really keen to see what happens with him. More impressive is Senna Agius in P4 in the Moto2. Now, last year I was already becoming a fan of him because for such a young rider, coming all the way from Australia and with his background, not grow up in Spain, it was impressive what he did last year. No, he changed teams, he didn't change the team, but they changed a lot of things around it. They changed new suspension and so on. He just made a big step himself in all the testing sessions Moto2 had so far. And now being in P4 on the grid in Moto2, that's very, very important because in Moto2 you don't gain or lose a lot of place. Usually your grid position, if you don't screw up your rear tire way too early in the race, you have a shot if you drop, you make mistakes, but even if you're a lot faster than the others, you don't win a lot of places. Nobody goes suddenly 3-4 times faster in the race in Moto2. It's a really, really difficult class. So what do I expect for tomorrow's race in MotoGP? Well, no soft rear tires. So I don't think people will gamble on a soft rear tire that they use today. The soft rear was for qualifying, the soft rear was for the short sprint race. Tomorrow they will use the medium rear. Mark already had done lots of laps on the medium, and he showed that he already has a very good pace on the M. For most other riders it will be like a new thing to try, and the race is this long. You need to pay attention when to push, how to hard to use your front tire, when to use your rear tire. You can't just go like in a sprint race and go all out for a couple of laps, because then you destroy your tires and you will finish, but far to the end. So yeah, tomorrow's going to be more tactical. It's Mark's race to lose. It's Mark's weekend to lose. He does everything perfect so far, but still it's Mark. It's a human. Things can go wrong. So I'm just hoping for exciting another race tomorrow, and I hope you too. Let's look for tomorrow's race.